Hello, I'm Donna Sawyer from the Finance News Network, and joining me from hearing implant manufacturer Cochlear is CEO Dr. Chris Roberts. Chris, welcome to FNN.
Thank you very much, Donna.
You had record cochlear implant unit sales of more than 26,500, but you say second half sales were somewhat stalled. Why was that?
Well, in the second half, we made some announcements about the next generation sound processor, Nucleus 6, and so it was the upgrade sales that stalled. So these are situations where people already have an implant, already have an external processor, and they're looking to replace that with the next generation device. But as we announced Nucleus 6, then the impact of that is to slow those sales. So our upgrade sales were down $24 million for fiscal 13 compared to fiscal 12. But those sales just moved to another accounting period because those people will buy those upgrades when the new products are released.
That leads me to my next question. Tell me about your Nucleus 6 product. Is it a game changer?
Yes, Nucleus 6 as a sound processor is absolutely a game changer. We've been working for 5+ years on the next generation of custom integrated circuits that are going to drive the electronics of this system. And the extra computational power allows us to do a whole range of things. For example, it allows us to add to our pre-processing of the sound and automate that. So the program seamlessly glides from one program to another program depending on the auditory environment in which the recipient's in. We've had experience with the pre-processing strategies. This is our third generation, but the previous two generations, the recipients had to manually change the program. Now the device does it automatically. We're able to add extensive data logging. We're also able to add an acoustic component to amplify lower frequencies in conjunction with the electrical stimulation for higher frequencies for recipients with residual hearing. And that's the fact that every single Nucleus 6 sound processor can be converted very inexpensively to have an acoustic component, and people can try to see what they get out of this combination of electrical and acoustic stimulation. And there's other features as well. This Nucleus 6 will support streaming digital audio, so wireless accessories, and it's all packaged together in the smallest sound processor ever.
Cochlear has reiterated its commitment to investing in research and development. Can you put a figure on that investment, and what are you hoping to achieve from it?
So you're quite right. We've invested significantly into research and development, and last year $130 million worth of investments were made into research and development, all of which were expensed. But we're doing that because we fundamentally believe that technological innovation is what's going to drive this market. The technological innovation allows us to improve outcomes, hearing outcomes and lifestyle outcomes of our recipients. It allows us to broaden indications, and it allows us to introduce new products that help scale what the healthcare professionals can do: simplification, automaticity, remote connectivity and the like, to increase patient access. And what we're doing in this year, in fiscal 14, is releasing a whole slew of products that come out of our product portfolio. Not only Nucleus 6, but we have other products like our next generation sound processor for our Baha system, the Baha 4. We're introducing a transcutaneous Baha system, the Baha Track, that complements our percutaneous Baha system, our Baha Connect. We recently received a CE mark for a Codacs product, which is an acoustic implant. So there's a whole range of products that we've really brought to market because of our significant investments in research and development.
Asia Pacific sales were up 20%, supported by the Chinese tender sale of about 2,800 units. China is clearly an important market for you, but it seems there is increasing competition there, with Sonova also winning a Chinese government tender, as well as the recently announced Chinese rival Neurotron product approval. Are you concerned about competition in China?
So I think that China is one market in many markets, and maybe just some comments about competition in general. I think that this is not a zero-sum game. I think that there's huge opportunity to continue to grow this market, and so to have a number of competitors helping to grow the market makes a lot of sense. In terms of China is an important market because we're seeing a rising, growing middle class, and that's the real opportunity in China today, but in particular down the track. Now, how the Chinese healthcare system will evolve is a little bit uncertain. It will evolve. The Chinese central government made an announcement they would buy some cochlear implants centrally for a number of years, but only as a transition. It was a period of a transition over 4 years, only as a transition to a more developed healthcare environment in China. So I think it's important to think about how the Chinese market will look in a number of years' time, and also to understand even today there are multiple tiers. There's a private pay market, there's a donation market, there are tenders come from provincial governments, there's tenders from the central government. So I think the China story is a lot more than only the central government tender. We did actually supply something like 2,800 cochlear implants into China as part of a major central government tender in fiscal 13, and that certainly was a contributor to our cochlear implant unit growth in fiscal 13. But Asia Pacific consists of many countries, not only China, and Asia Pacific was still only 20% of our global business.
More broadly speaking, how do you plan to compete as more players enter the field?
What we need to do is keep our foot on the accelerator of technological innovation. It's what we can do to work with healthcare professionals globally to sort of see the future clinically of how they want to be managing their patients, and what we can do with technology to develop products that are very relevant to how they want to manage patients. Nobody is out innovating Cochlear in terms of the breadth of products and the impactful nature of the products that we're developing.
So what are you telling investors in terms of your growth strategy going forward?
Yes, as I mentioned, we're doing a lot of work around technological innovation and broadening our suite of products, but it's not only about that. We're making significant investments in market growth initiatives, working with our healthcare professionals and recipients globally to figure out what's the best way, or what services we have to develop, and what's the best way to keep communicating these messages, given that awareness is one of the single biggest barriers to this market growth. So it's about developing our online presence, for example, our online strategy around our entire customer experience to help people, to encourage them, to entice them to come into to healthcare professionals and discuss their situation, make sure they get engagement with that, and then really come down with us with this journey for their life of implantable devices to help them with their hearing. But it's also doing this across the globe, so it's our global presence. So it's sort of a mixture of technological innovation, a broad product suite, coupled with our market growth initiatives, taken to the market with a global footprint perspective.
Finally, Chris, what are some of the key things Cochlear is hoping to achieve in fiscal 2014?
Yeah, fiscal 14 is a very, very busy year. We have a range of products that we're rolling out. That's really, fiscal 14 is characterised by finally getting the products into the market that we've been investing in from our research and development to spend over the 5+ years. That includes Nuclear 6, and we now have launched Nuclear 6 in Europe. That occurred in September, and indeed in September, at the end of September, in the United States. We also have recently received regulatory approval in Australia for Nuclear 6, and that product will be rolling out in Australia shortly. We also have regulatory approval for Baha 4 sound processor in Europe and the USA, and that product will be launching in November. We also have regulatory approval in Europe for Baha Attract, which is our transcutaneous bone conduction system, and we're in a controlled market release in a number of markets, primarily Europe, but also other markets like Australia. We recently received the CE mark for our Codacs device, an acoustic cochlear implant device, in Europe, so we're sort of starting our controlled market release with that product as well. And we have other scalability products. When I say scalability, I mean products that help the audiologist either test the device intraoperatively or program the recipient, either activation or post-activation. So there's a sort of a range of products. It's a really, really very busy year for Cochlear in fiscal 14.
Dr. Chris Roberts, thanks for the update on Cochlear.
Thanks very much, Donna.